place, moving into spirit. I know I'm safe, I know I'm loved, moving into spirit. The pain is past, the here is now, moving into spirit. I'm going fast, I'm going slow, moving into spirit. The love is here, the love is there, the love is everywhere, and I'm headed home. It's my place, moving into spirit. The pain is past, the here is now, moving into spirit. I know I'm safe, I know I'm loved, moving into spirit. I'm going fast, I'm going slow, moving into spirit. The love is here, the love is there, the love is everywhere, and I'm headed home. It's my place, moving into spirit.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Wasn't it a great rain last night? Yeah. I want to recognize. Why, Jane? Good to see you, honey. It's Reverend Sherry Sorbo's here today. Yay. Yay. All the way from the other side of the world, right? Yeah, she's got sandals on, too. She's not in the snow. I love it. I love it. Okay. And I see some of my friends online, too. Hi, Dee Dee. She's the one with the, it's one of my dear friends. And Mary, Joyce, Judy. Anyway, it's good to see you guys. I'm glad you're here. You know what? The talk title today was I'll Rest When I'm Dead. And I have to tell you, I did not like that title. I thought, they're describing me. Now, we're not going to do that. I had a really, really hard time. So I thought, okay, well, how am I going to approach this? And so I said, all right, I'm going to see what other people think. Let's see what other people think about that title. So I have some real people points of view. Now, maybe you can't read this, but I'll try and read it to you. I cannot pronounce their first person's name, so we'll let it go. But that person is, their definition is that person is totally restless one. A person who is so busy and full of life that he knows no rest and doesn't want to rest. Key point. Rest or a pause is comparable to death, which is inevitable. So the only time that the person will rest is when he dies. Until then, there's no stopping. That's sad. Oh. I can remember being that person. Then Tammy Gregg says, they'll never take a break from working. It's a feeling that you have to be productive 24/7 or you'll never accomplish anything. That reminds me of being in corporate. And then the next one, I like the next one because she really does say the right thing, I think. I'll rest when I'm dead means that one's life is so full and so busy that he or she is sane that it's best to skimp on sleep and rest and make the most of life. Some people might say, I'll be lying down for a long time. These sentences mean a little something to some people. Many people would feel that the rest and the sleep prolong one's life. They might say that people who skimp on their rest and sleep may have eternal rest very soon. I thought that was quite quite real. Because that's true. If we don't take care of ourselves, guess what happens? So I thought about this, and I thought, well, what does spirituality mean to me? What does this really mean to me? And what it means to me is we have to refresh our minds, our bodies, and our soul. Think about the last time you were exhausted. I just want you to think about that for a moment. And it was like, if we don't take care of ourselves, we lose our wisdom. How many people can think really well when they're tired? Not. You don't. Our body breaks down when we don't take care of ourselves. And I see this more often than I want to say, and that is our soul has no purpose when we are totally exhausted. Brene Brown says, it takes courage to say yes to rest and to play in a culture where exhaustion seems as a status symbol. I can remember in corporate it felt like I was in a status symbol, but as an entrepreneur on my own, I'm my only status. I have to have within me that which I believe in. So I have some questions for you. And I want you to be thinking about, what do I say to myself? But I want you to raise your hand. You don't have to go really high, but raise your hand if you say any of these things to yourself on occasion. Okay, I really hate this one, but it's, I'll rest when I'm dead. Has anybody ever said that? Oh, okay. All right, Jim. Okay, just a few more minutes. Anybody said that one? Yeah, okay. I don't have time for that. How many have children? Yeah, okay. This is more important. Yeah. What do you say to yourself? Tell me, what do you say? What do you say? What's your statement? Think about it.
I say there's plenty of time for the important things, is what I say.
Okay. And everything's important, right?
No.
No? Okay. Well, you're more involved than I am. All of these statements I have made to myself. I'll do it later. Oh, that's a good one, yeah. You know, this talk, I was telling Jody when she came up here, I said, Jody, this talk is totally about me. So everything in here is about me. I mean, I totally say, or I don't say it's more important. I think it's more important. You know, when my family walks in and wants to bug me, like, can he put that up on the tree? I'm like, I don't care, you know. But we have this way that we do to ourselves. Whether we say it or we think it, we're not refreshing ourselves. We're collapsing everything into that moment, opposed to realizing there's a lot more. When I think of rest, the word for me that came up was grace. Think about, how does that word feel in your body? Grace. It's like, it's like letting go. You know, when I pay attention to my mind and my body and my soul, I really feel grace. When I pay attention to that, because it's really easy not to. Anybody busy? Just a few of us, right? Well, today I'm going to talk about how do we bring that into our lives? How do we do that? Because we need to. The world is moved too fast. There's too much going on, and we have to take care of ourselves. So I'm going to read the next statement because it's all about me. Our theme today is living everyday wonder and play, and today is about, and this is for those of us who have a hard time about doing this, scheduling rest first. How many people schedule time on their actual calendar of rest? Anybody? I got 1, 2, 3. Good. Well, that's 10%. I have this little book. It's called A Daily To-Do. And I did this because I get so busy. And I'm just going to show you. This is just the beginning of the year. It is just filled. Now, I'll come back to this because it looks like, oh my God, she has a lot of work. I'll come back to this because this is a way for me to manage my busyness. Okay? So I'm going to call upon one of my favorite authors. It's Joel Goldsmith, and I want to show you this book. It says, Leave Your Nets. And this book has been read so much that the pages are falling out. It's so profound. So if you really want a good book, it's Joel Goldsmith, Leave Your Nets, and you can come back and see this. But he talks about grace. And I'm going to read a little bit of this because I could never say it as well as he could. But here's what he says. Included in the word grace is all that is meant by the word gift. Grace is a gift. The gift of God is sufficiency. We have to remember that. The nations of the world seek after what they shall eat, what they shall drink, wherewithal they shall be clothed. They are continuously taking thought or being concerned about the affairs of tomorrow. This is not true in my kingdom, which is not of this world. In the kingdom of grace, God is the creative principle, the infinite power. The word grace implies that which maintains and sustains infinite good and above all, love. Therefore, love must be the measure of the capacity of our good. Think about that. Love must be the measure of the capacity of our good. How much can we receive? Thinking about that, he then goes on to say, grace is fulfillment, and grace does not bring partial success or partial happiness, nor does it demand of us that which we cannot fulfill. Grace brings a task to us, but with it, grace brings the understanding, the strength, and the wisdom to perform it. And grace also brings whatever is necessary for its fulfillment, whether transportation, funds, book, teachers, or teachings. And there's more here. The point I want to make about grace is when we are in grace, we're in a mystical experience. And that everything comes to us. We don't have to go get it. Do you see that? We don't have to go outside of ourselves. In fact, as I was reading this morning, I was thinking, that's kind of how I live my busy life. Everybody goes, you're so busy. I'm like, well, yes and no. Because I don't go and get my business. And it took me a long time to figure out how to do that. What I do is I have relationships, just like I have them with you guys. I have a one-to-one relationship with the people I work with. And we have this thing called trust and belief in each other. And so they reach out. But see, that's the grace of God who is given to me to go and say, trust me, believe me, I will do whatever I can to serve. And so my life now has become one of grace. It's so funny, I'll sit at my desk and go, I should really call that customer. I should really go after business. I should really go do that. And you know what? I made more money last year than I've ever made in my life. Not by going out and forcing myself on somebody, but allowing the grace of God to move through me in service to people, service to whatever came up on my desk. Today, I have to tell you, I have people in my other work, which is calling on college bookstore, that are desperate for help. They're desperate for someone to love them. They're desperate for somebody to recognize who they are. And so I don't just provide a pen. I provide love. That's grace. And that's the gift that you can give everybody. I have more in here to read, but I'm going to keep moving on because she has me on a timer. That's right. Okay. I love how he says the word grace. Grace is a gift. And that's the gift to ourselves. It's a gift to others and gift to humanity. Think about it. When we are in grace, or whatever word you want to call it, peace, order, balance, whatever word works for you, that means that we are in a place of understanding and that we can help other people. Does anybody see chaos in the world? Any chaos out there? A lot. And I can tell you right now, I have more than one person ask me. In fact, I was at a little party last night, and I walk in, and the host, who I just adore, he says, "How are you?" And of course, I've been busy writing my talk and making the announcements and doing the stuff for the concert, and I was like, "Huh." He goes, "No, everybody's like that. Everybody's, huh." So when we're, huh, and that's that part of not resting, taking care of ourselves, we can't be a vehicle to help other people. Am I making sense? Okay, good. So let's talk about, I have 3 things around grace. The first is, they're all practical. This is the part that Ernest Holmes liked. He always gave us practical things about the things that we talk about. So the first is, obviously, rest is good for our body. Yes, we all agree on that one, right? When we do that, we have a different quality of life. Different quality of life, a different way of being, a different way of having. And all faith traditions teach this. It's not just us. Everybody talks about rest, peace, like the Sabbath, taking the Sabbath off, and so forth. Researchers say that we're more productive, and I agree with that. I know that when I rest, actually, the funny story is when I go on vacation, it takes me 3 days to calm down. Then I get to play for 3 days, and then I come back and I work hard again. So when we do that, that's a good signal to know that we're doing too much just to go on vacation, right? And then the doctor says, it reduces stress. Well, Thich Nhat Hanh says something that I think is very profound. And he says, "We humans have lost the wisdom of genuinely resting and relaxing. We worry too much." Anybody worry here? Just a few of us. "We don't allow our bodies to heal. We don't allow our minds and heart to heal." Let's move through it. It's very important, the next quote is, "It's very important that we relearn the art of resting and relaxing. Not only does it prevent the onset of many illnesses that develop through chronic tension and worry, it allows us to clear our mind, focus, and find creative solutions to the problem." I'm going to give you a couple little more things, and then, and this one I did not know, and I think it's really important. And I'm just curious if anybody does this, and that is take what they call an extended period of rest. That means 12 to 24 hours straight, once a month, of just rest. Anybody do that? Good for you. And that it even goes deeper into that, having that time to have like deep conversations. It's funny, yesterday I there's this one person I've been wanting to call, and I thought they're going to think I just don't care about them. Because I have a list of people that I try to call on a regular basis, or people I haven't seen in a while. And so as a result of that, yesterday, I thought, I'm going to take 5 minutes, because that's a worry, right? I haven't done this. So I took 5 minutes, and I've just made a really nice phone call to say, "I want you to know I'm sorry it took me this long to get to you. I've been da-da-da-da-da." Busy is what the word was. But I want you to know that I care about you, and that I love you, and I'm so glad that you're in San Diego now, and then the conversation went on. It's like sometimes we have to just stop and do that. Otherwise, we're just going like this. Anybody have monkey mind? It just goes. It goes and it goes. So why do we not rest? What are the reasons why? Anybody have an answer out there for me? Go ahead, you can tell me. Yeah.
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. Too much to do. You're not busy at all, are you? 3 boys and... Okay. Anybody else? Why? Some of the things they say are things like, we need to catch up. Anybody feel that one? I got to catch up. Or I need to get ahead. When I was in the corporate world, I felt like that. I had my own office, but yet I felt like somebody wanted it. So I had to keep working hard. we need to do the best. I in creating of this concert, which I will talk about later, it's wanting to make sure it's done right. So there's this part of us inside of us that are just really trying to make things better for everything. They call this the cult of hustle, running around. Have you heard that? I've never heard that before. But the cult of hustle. When I see somebody who is, and this, I do see people on occasion that will come in and say, I'm just like, my life is bad. And of course, I know who they are. I know that their life isn't bad. I know that things are not bad. But what I find is that they're looking at a lot of time. Well, actually, let me just say this: hoarders, people who hoard things. Why do you think they do that? One, they don't want to forget anything, and they're in a state of lack. And that's kind of the opposite of what you would think. But they're afraid that whatever is out there, they have to keep. And if we're in a state of lack, I know as religious scientists, in science mind, there is no lack. There is no lack, period, end of story. I had my trees trimmed last week. There are so many bushes on those trees that had to be trimmed. There is no way there's any lack. You know what I mean? It was like amazing to go, you still have to cut more? And that's the way everything is. It doesn't matter. There's never a lack of money because there's an abundance of money. How many people think there's a lack of time? Who made up time? We did. So time is forever and ever and ever. It's going to constantly go. I can remember when I was in ministerial school, driving to appointments. Ministers are not always, but sometimes late. And so I would be like, I got to get there on time. And so, of course, the traffic would stop, right? So I either had to have a belief in I'm going to be late, or I had to have a belief in, maybe they're going to be late too. Or that I had the power to actually change time. Many a time I would be, and this happened all the time, is that everything would slow down. And so what I would do is I go, you know what? We're just going to move you on. And so I would start to pray, knowing that the traffic was going to move. Traffic was going to move. You've done this, haven't you? You know what I'm talking about. And you know what? I always got there on time. It's having a belief that there's more, there's enough, and not any lack. And if you're feeling lack, you need to come see me, one of our ministers, one of our practitioners, and we will support you in knowing that there's an abundant universe. The other reason that two reasons I think they're pretty interesting is when we are too busy, we are hiding our feelings. We're not dealing with our issues. I have a lot more to say. We become too busy to heal damaged relationships, and sometimes we have to take time to do that. The other thing is we need to devote time to self-reflection. Now, when I say self-reflection, I want to say it's not about what you did wrong, but what is it that you want to be more of? Important. Ernest Holmes has a really cool way of talking about rest. He says, to enter the silence is to quiet our minds and enter that place of non-movement. To be still and to know that I am God is to enter the sanctuary of one's own consciousness. Non-movement. When's the last time? Well, Mava, you can't participate in this because you're really good at this, but when's the last time you had non-movement? She's my great meditator. She has this wonderful backyard that's just amazing. You just go there and you just want to sit. You don't want to do anything else. But when's the last time you had non-movement? Besides meditation, 5 minutes here. Okay, you're 1 in a million. But you know what I mean? It's like we have to keep going. We have something that's happening. So Here's a couple more questions. See if I have it on there. How many people have a list in their heads or on paper of people you just want to call? Yeah. Yeah. How many have to work to do that? I didn't write this correctly. You have to finish something. Always thinking you have to work to finish. Work to finish. Yeah. And okay, the last one's the best one. How many of you are tired more than you think you would like to admit? Except for the retired people, okay? We are. We wake up tired. I wake up more tired than I'm normally doing. So there's something I need to change in that. So here I'm going to give you an opportunity to try something. And what if you started every day with, very simple, what's possible today? Now, that sounds like a big question, like it's a to-do list. The difference is, it's the consciousness of starting it in the morning and then deciding what you want to do. So, I talked about how I write things down. The main reason I write things down is because I cannot remember, number one. Number two is, I don't want to remember. I want my mind to be blank so that that creative flow can go right through me and I'm not thinking about what it is I have to do. So yes, I write things down. But then what I do is during the day is I will pick one thing, and I will just focus in that area. And then I will allow grace, that word grace again, to move me to the next thing, instead of thinking that all of this has to be done. Because the truth is, all of this can't be done in one day. The truth is that you will always have plenty of work and things to do forever and ever and ever. It will never stop until you die. That's the only time it stops, okay? But in between, you have choice. And you have grace. So what if you started every day with, I shouldn't be telling you somebody's phone number, but what if you started with, what's possible today? And just, if you had to, make a list. And you write down that person's number or name you want to call. Keep it, and allow whatever needs to be done to come from your heart. Not just from here, but from your heart. And let your heart guide you through the day. How does that feel? Better? I'm not seeing the shoulders going down, so I'm wondering, am I getting to you? Because when we give grace a chance, we can breathe in peace. We can rest our soul, and our physical beingness is much better. All right, I was going to give you a story, but they're not going to give me much time to do this. So let's see, I'll move on then. You've had enough stories for today. So this year is Living Everyday Wonder, and really there's nothing more powerful than resting. There really is. In fact, I was going to say, I do have a little story about this, and that is that about a month ago, one of our major branches in our orange tree broke. I mean, just went, psh, and it was like, oh my God, we've killed the tree. And it just had too many fruits on it. And what we've learned since then is, no, we didn't kill the tree. The tree trims itself if we don't trim it. And orange trees are very vibrant, so they don't die. And in fact, that's why we had it trimmed even more. But during that day, part of it's the heartache of the tree being broke and wondering, gee, did we harm it? The other is there's some incredible fruit on that tree. And so, in fact, Emma bagged up some of the fruit I brought from our tree and our lemon tree. Really good fruit. Anyway, I decided, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of this. And so I have a little swing in my backyard, and it has a little overhead canvas. And I said, I'm just going to sit here. And of course, I had grubby clothes on. I looked like a farmer. And I just opened up the oranges, and I just started to peel them. And then I just slobbered them in my mouth. And I thought, I've always wanted to do that. I took time to have grace with that orange. Sometimes we got to slobber it and become one with the entity that is there. But boy, that was a good orange. I don't think, you know how you have memories in your life? And that's one of the memories I think I always hold, is me just putting that orange in my mouth and going, it was so good. Ernest Holmes says, spiritual experiences come in the stillness of the soul, when the outer voice is quiet. It's a quickening of the inner being to eternal reality. So me having that moment with that orange was me having an experience of God's creation, fulfilling my inside and my taste buds and my soul, and connecting with that tree that had trimmed itself. It was bigger than just eating an orange. Do you feel that? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like it's bigger than that. So I wanted to take us one step farther, and I know I'm going to go like Jerry did last week over. But Goldsmith says one more thing, and this is a little bit deeper than just the surface of resting. Goldsmith says, illumination dissolves all material ties and binds men together with the golden chains of spiritual understanding. It's acknowledging only the leadership of Christ, and I put Christ consciousness. It has no ritual but the divine and personal universal love, no other worship than the inner flame that is ever lit in the shrines of spirit. This union is the free state of spiritual brotherhood. The only restraint is the discipline of the soul. That's knowing that. Therefore, we know liberty without license. We are a united universal universe without physical limitations, a divine service to God without ceremony or creed. The illumined walk without fear by grace. We walk without fear by grace. Do you know that fear is something that can't be taught? Walking without fear is something that can't be taught. Fear can be taught because we react to things. But walking without fear isn't something that can be taught. Think about your own life. You've had to teach yourself or have experience of trust to not walk in fear. That's important to know. And yet, also to be in tune with your intuition when you feel like, something's not quite right. It's having that balance. So I'm going to end with, last time I spoke, I started with questions. This time I'm going to end with questions. And on your chair are the questions, and I'll put them up on the board for those of you that are online. And these are questions I want you to think about during the week, or use them to remind yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I not stopping? Now, I'm not saying you have to do 12 hours or 24 hours of doing nothing, but I am saying, why don't I take an hour? And when I'm speaking to myself. I have to learn to do this too. It's so easy to go from one thing to the next to the next. So here are the questions, and I put, I'll rest when, and I didn't put the rest of the title. Okay, so here's some questions. This is for everybody else online. It says, when I try to rest, what thoughts come up for me? What distractions emerge, and how do I handle them? How could I resolve them moving forward? Again, these are things for you to think about. 2 is, what tends to keep me from scheduling rest for myself? What stops us from doing that? Do I honor my intentions to rest, or do I allow myself to be pulled into busyness? Anybody have a family that wants them to do things? Not. 3 boys and a wife. No, nothing to do there, Laura. Huh? What can I put into place to support my intention to be restful? When I think of a blissful day of rest, what images emerge for me? Can you visualize it? What qualities of the divine do I feel in these images? How can I honor my soul's yearning for these qualities and experiences? So paint your own picture. What is it that you want to experience? And then give yourself that gift. And then the last one is, what is my self-talk around busyness and rest? In what ways do I buy into the hustle culture? In what ways do I honor my sacred right of restfulness? What commitments am I prepared to make to myself? So I want you to think about this. Not here today. We're not going to talk about it because we'd be here for a long time and we have to do the labyrinth. But I do have 3 things that I want you to work on. So you can write these down if you want. I would like you to think about scheduling a day off in the next 2 weeks. A day off of nothing. Resist the urge to fill it with appointments, fun, or not. See if you can give yourself some unscheduled time off. I used to like to go down to the beach. That was one of my favorite things to do. And just sit. Sit and listen to the birds or the water. One of the things I do now is that I have a lot of trees, and so I put benches under my trees now. And sometimes, especially right now, the hawks have had babies. So I'll sit in my chair, and we have these large telephone poles, and I can watch the hawks go back and forth, teaching their baby how to fly. We just found out this morning there's a pair of coyotes that just had 3 pups. It's like, it's being aware of what's going on in nature. To me, that's a rest for me. That's a peacefulness for me. All right, the next thing is I want you to start each day with this question. What's possible today, Spirit? It's that question. Start it in the morning, not at noon. And maybe you need a cup of coffee. I usually need a cup of coffee to even start anything. So, but let it flow. Instead of you writing if you want to write your to-dos, but do it from your heart, but then let it flow. Let it come to you, opposed to you forcing yourself to do it. And then the last thing is, I'd like you to be conscious from the beginning of the day as to how you can allow time to rest. How can you bring in that time to rest? To contemplate it, and then here's the part that I think is really important, because we can talk about this all day long, but if you don't recognize it, you don't see it, you don't feel it. And that is to take a moment to give thanks for that time. And to recognize that you have received a gift, the gift of rest. But we have to see it, and that's what we call here a demonstration. Oh, I did that for myself. I feel so much better. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? We have to recognize that we have received. Once we receive, we've done the full circle. It's a full circle. And repeat that daily if you can. So can you do that? Can you do one of them? Yeah. 3 of them? I got 3 over here. Okay. All 3 things I want to see. I'm going to Disneyland next week, so that's my way of 2 days off. I'm not taking visitors, okay? All right. So we're going to do our affirmation today. And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to read this to you. I want you to close your eyes. I will read the affirmation. Then I'm going to do a poem from Ernest Holmes, which you also have a copy of. And then I'll pray us out, and we'll have Mama Christy back, okay? So I invite you to close your eyes. Let's all take a deep breath. Just letting it out. And I'm going to say this 3 times. I rest in divine peace, joy, and grace. I rest in divine peace, joy, and grace. And I rest in divine peace, joy, and grace. A poem from Ernest Holmes, Peace Be With Thee. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and not be afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and light the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink of the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. And so knowing that truth of grace that Spirit brings to us, the divine, the essence, God, whatever name you call it, it is all of that. It is the grace that we all can incorporate into our lives here and now. And so I am just grateful for this day, to be reminded the importance of rest, the mystical experience, being one with the divine, being an experience of life in front of me and saying, yes, that's Spirit and that's God, and resting in that. And so I bless this day, this talk, this all of us being here to know this truth that we deserve, we are one with this peace and one with this rest. So with that, I give great thanks. I let it be, and so it is. Amen. Thank you. And let's bring back Christy. You have a different song, right? Next to the
It
one.
has something to do with being dead.
Oh, no. She wrote this for me.
I'll rest when I'm dead. I'll lay my head down. I'll rest when I'm dead. Oh, lay myself down. Until then, I'll be going strong. I'll be singing my favorite songs. I'll rest when I'm dead. I'll rest when I'm dead. I'll rest when I'm dead. In the meantime, let's play. I'll rest when I'm dead. Our lives full of joy and play. And I am very clearly seeing, and I am dancing, saying, yes, I'll rest when I'm dead. I'll rest when I'm dead. And when I really need some rest, I'll take the time I need. Slowing down the sacred path, knowing rest is grace, I am very clearly seeing. And I am dancing, saying, yes, I'll rest every day. Knowing rest Tuesday's grace. Every day till I'm dead,